Good evening. It's now 5:33, April 22nd, 2021. This meeting of Georgetown County Council is now being called to order. Welcome to you all. You'll ask Mr. Councilmember Carolina to give us the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. Will you stand, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking for your blessing and help as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that we would challenge each other to reach higher and further to the best we can be as good stewards of the land and resources for the citizens of Georgetown County. We ask this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Carolina, for the invocation and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for this particular meeting. We'll move on down to the approval of the agenda. Please note that there's a recommendation to move Report 15A forward on the meeting agenda. With that being said, is there a motion to approve the agenda with the recommended change?
Moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion passed. And the agenda is approved. We'll now move down to item 15A with our nonprofit spotlight, Martha's House, presented by Ms. Christy Squires, and assistant.
Thank you. We just thank you for the chance to come and share a little bit about Martha's House. I am obviously filling in tonight. I've worked with Martha's House with Palmetto Giving Day and am a new board member. My name's not on that brochure that I've left on the way out that I hope some of you will pick up. But I'm standing in for Susan Tyler. She's the director, the founder, the house mother. She works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and just happens not to be here tonight. But we do thank you for the chance to share. So very briefly, Martha's House is a Christian transitional home. It's all faith-based, and women come here from jail. They are all suffering from addictions, and it's just a transition period where they get closer to the Lord, actually, and have a chance to get their feet under them before they transition out into society. So I have left a history as well with you, and here, if some of you would like to pick it up, and encourage you to read that. Just want you to know that Martha's House exists from generous donations and from a thrift store there on Fraser Street, and the proceeds from that. I wanted to give you tonight a brief glimpse of some of the women who have come through. Just very briefly, in the past couple of years, only 48 women have come through. That may not sound like a lot, but just let me encourage you to know that's 48 lives that have been touched, 48 family members, an impact that just carries on for generation to generation, and the community is also impacted. So a quick look at some of the women who have come through the past couple of years, just so you get a glimpse of the stories. Here you see Nikki, not that the name matters, but she's been reunited with her children, overcome her addiction problems, taking care of her children, working a job, being the mother that she was designed to be. The next one. Here you see someone who works at Tony's Pizza after 26 years of addiction, a couple of times through Martha's House, but she has overcome her problems with addiction and is now a prosperous, a member of society who is actually giving back, working. Next one, and she's getting married, and this weekend. This picture might seem like nothing, but the women who come to Martha's house not only are struggling with addictions, but they have a lot of health problems resulting from that. They have their teeth fixed. They go to doctors and get healthy so that they have the confidence they need to get back into society. Here we see Catherine. She spent over 30 years in prison. She had to come out and just figure out everything. A cell phone, nothing in society looked the same to her. And she's proudly displaying a driver's license, something that many of us take for granted, but something that is very necessary to lead an independent life. And there are a couple more. Here's a young woman who was reunited with a grandmother, her mother, a son. It had been over a decade when she graduated from Martha's house to get back with her family. So as you can see, Martha's house does, you can go ahead and click one more for me, please, and go on to the next one. Martha's house is a place that makes a difference in our community by reconciling families, helping these women overcome addictions. And I have just been extremely blessed to be able to work with them and to see the transformation that's made there. I come from a background where I was never familiar with addictions and the problems that can occur, but I've learned one thing, and that's that addiction is no discriminator. And so while I've given you a little bit of a glimpse of the people, here I have Christy, who is actually a resident at Martha's house. There's the main home there you can see. 5 women live there at a time. We are working on a phase 2 building where the women who graduate after 6 months will move there as they transition to a job and pay off fines and all the things that have to happen after getting out of college. Not college, but prison. Here is Christy. She's going to give you a first-hand account of what Martha's house means because she is a resident there.
It's kind of like college, but a different version of education. Thank y'all for having us. My name is Christy Hopkins, and I have been at Martha's house for almost 6 months. I am from this area and grew up at the beach and had a fairly normal life for many years. Had great parents, good family, went to college, school, Christian school, and worked for many years. Had a normal job. Had some tragedies in my life and didn't have a real good foundation. Definitely didn't have the foundation that I needed to have in the Lord. And had a doctor that was very ready to prescribe lots of medications to help me with any of my needs, to help me sleep and to help me get going during the day. And that spiraled out of control, where over a period of 5 years, I crossed off a lot of I nevers in my life. I would never lose my job, lose my family. Never would I use heroin. So over the past year, I was in and out of incarceration and lost my father and overdosed, almost died, should be dead. But God had other plans. Martha's house is founded by Susan Tyler. She was in and out of addiction for 30 years and was a beautician in Pawleys Island. And God gave her a vision, and when he delivered her from her addiction, she started doing prison ministry. And during that time, a lot of people want to know, well, who is Martha? She met some women in jail at Georgetown County Detention Center, and she followed them as they would be released. And she found out that a lot of times they didn't really have anywhere to go back to. They didn't have a place they couldn't get any support or any help to get back on their feet or to figure out their way in life. And I think there was one individual that was named Martha that she saw go in and out, and the Lord laid it on her heart to try to help these women. So she started through her beauty shop talking to people about what she wanted to do, and started having fundraisers, and the land was donated. And in 2013, they dedicated the land, and we've had 48 women that have gone through the program. And she is an inspiration. She does most of this on her own. We have private donors through churches. We have a wonderful thrift store. The people of Georgetown County have been very generous to us. I think we have the best store in Georgetown. And it has grown and blossomed, but it was her vision and her heart and the Lord's call on her life to help these people. You know, that hope is hard to come by these days. I think we all agree we live in a very broken world. And I don't think there's probably many of us anymore that are very far from someone that's in addiction. And it's a desperate situation that a lot of people can't find an escape from. So Martha's House is a wonderful organization, and she came into my life. I didn't feel like there was any way that I could get back on my feet, and that so many miracles have occurred. And she has a passion to keep this organization going and growing so that we can reach out to women that need help. And, you know, we're able to love women that have never really felt that. They've never got that at home, never got that from their parents. And, you know, it's different than love that we're even able to do of our own human nature. It's God's love, and that's what makes all the difference. You know, and she runs this organization every day in prayer and petition to the Lord, you know, and the Holy Spirit leads every decision that she makes, and it's obvious in how it has grown and flourished that it is a divine place, and we are very blessed to be a part of it. But we appreciate you all's time, and we appreciate y'all moving us up on the agenda very much. But we are grateful to be in this wonderful county, and we hope y'all enjoy the rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you both for enlightening us about Martha's House. We also thank you for everything you do for the betterment of Georgetown County. Thanks again. We'll move down to the public comments. County Council sets aside 30 minutes at the beginning of each meeting to allow for public comments. Members of the public who wish to address council during the public input period should sign up with the clerk of council before the meeting is called to order. It is my understanding that we have several persons sign up this evening to speak, and the only thing we do ask is that you be cognizant and respectful of the other members who desire to speak time factor. Madam Clerk, how many persons do we have signed up to speak?
Mr. Chairman, we have 15 speakers signed up tonight, and typically that would limit each speaker to 2 minutes each, and our chairman has graciously allowed 3 minutes per speaker. So the first speaker tonight will be Mr. Mark Ricketts.
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mark Ricketts. I'm a resident of Windsor, and I'm also a property owner in Wedgefield. I'm here tonight to speak in reference to item 12B, the ordinance to amend the Georgetown Memorial Hospital WeHall campus. I'll briefly try to state who benefits from the planned low-income multifamily housing at Wedgefield Road in North Fraser. Georgetown Hospital. They will get to dispose of land that otherwise has no value to them. Georgetown Hospital purchased this land in December 2008 for $3.3 million. They did so in anticipation of Crown Point being developed, with 7,700 new homes being built in the immediate vicinity. They get to recuperate some of their investment and change the use that was intended to provide what would have been needed in the area, a hospital and medical services. That was the justification for the change in use then. Crown Point did not materialize, therefore, the medical services and the hospitals were not financially viable or needed. This tract is currently listed use for a hospital, E980. There have been no taxes paid on this tract of land since its purchase in 2008. Blue Line 46 Development stated they would develop and build this multifamily complex with tax credits they will receive and sell them to fund this project, fully funded by taxpayer dollars. Once built, they will also manage this income-based complex, and they will determine rents based on incomes of the occupants. They state there will be no Section 8 housing here. However, they have yet to explain how you can maintain and operate a facility as such where the rent should be $975 a month and the individual's income only justifies a rent of $400 per month. Where does the other $575 per month come from? Will this project also be tax exempt? Who will pay for the public services needed? The tract of land is 920302, that's Windsor. It's listed as an upper income tract, not an underserved or distressed tract. It has a median family income of 131.26% of the state average income of $50,600 a year.
Mike Downs.
Good evening, council members. My name is Mike Downs. I'm here to speak in reference to the low-income multifamily housing. Concerning the Blue Line development proposed low-income multifamily housing at Wedgefield Road and 701. There are 0 amenities within walking distance to the proposed site. Walmart, being the nearest store, is over 2 miles away. The nearest doctor's office is 2.5 miles away. Yet, we bus children if they are 1 mile from school because that is deemed too far for them to walk. There are areas in Marysville and behind Georgetown High School that are already approved for this type of housing that Blue Line is proposing. These areas are also within walking distance shopping restaurants and doctors for the residents as well. The only thing close to the proposed site within walking distance is a convenience store / liquor store. Blue Line 46 North Highlands Health aren't interested in using these sites because they don't offer tax credits, which proves that they aren't concerned about the people that they're looking to put in there. All they're looking at is the bottom line and the dollar they're going to put in their pocket. The developer showed up at the zoning meeting with 0 information. They supposedly do low-income housing all over the country. They should have had information that they could have brought that they used from something else, but they didn't. They flew off the cuff. Another reason this is being a bad location is the traffic it will create at the intersection of Wedgefield Road and 701 and Route 51. The developer is looking at 90 units on the 16 acres of a 65-acre parcel. What's going to happen with traffic in the future when they want the other 49 acres turned into multifamily housing as well? And from their talks, they already have that planned. They've slipped a couple of times and called this Phase 1. So Phase 1 means there's Phase 2. The Georgetown residents can be better served by putting in single-family, affordable housing that they can own and take pride in and earn equity in their house, instead of making payments to some company out in Montana. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Joseph Myers. Joseph Myers.
Good evening. My name is Joe Myers. I live in Wedgefield Plantation. I wish to speak in regarding to Agenda 12B, Ordinance 21-18. I have a very simple comment, wrong location. Multifamily can be affordable housing, can be low income, can be working family start homes. Governor study shows there are 3 locations in Georgetown that are approved for this type of housing. This is not one of them. This location was ranked 13. Georgetown County just kicked off a study from the Planning Commission for these type projects to be looked into in depth. Results are asked for within 1 year. Why are we rushing ahead when we're waiting for a study? The location is 2.5 miles outside of Georgetown city limits. It is not within walking distance of retail, medical, groceries, dental, do have a liquor store, does not comply with South Carolina law on planned developments. Excuse me. Blue Line has requested reduced or zero impact fees. Our own county says these units will impact infrastructure, $7,500 each. Phase 1, 90. Phase 2, 70. 160. $1.2 million they're asking the county to put aside. Go ahead and spend the money on the infrastructure, but collect nothing from these people. There are no help wanted signs anywhere on 701 between this development and retail. There's nothing. 2.5 miles. Nobody's looking for somebody to work there. Maryville has an approved site right off Highway 17, and they want this project. The governor's study stated there are 3 sites better than this one. It actually said 10 better. Seven Oaks Business Park out on Highway 521 needs businesses and people. Halfway between here and Andrews. This location does not need people, and they're not offering us any business. It is not the site for a Montana company with horrendous Better Business Bureau reviews. Why are we using them to develop a multifamily rental complex when their history shows they're here today? They have walked away from projects at 9 years. Just walk away. 10 years, walk away. 11 years, walk away. How do they pull that off? LLC, Limited Liability Corp subsidiaries. The rezoning should not precede due diligence by the county and state government agencies. We should wait until facts are known and not rely on smoke and mirrors that we have had presented to us so far. Thank you very much. This is the wrong location. Thank you for your time.
Butch Williams. It's Butch Williams.
It's coming.
Okay.
Hi, thank you for your time. I am Butch Williams. I live in Wedgefield as well, and I'm here to address the same issues. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about has already really been covered, but I do want to cover a couple things. I do work for International Paper. I've been an International Paper employee for 38 years, and there's a couple other people in here, and I think anybody that works at International Paper will tell you the first thing at International Paper and the most important thing at International Paper is your safety. So with that being said, I don't think that's been considered in this project. I do have a report here from FEMA, and I'll leave these reports with you, but I do have a report from FEMA, and I'll just kind of go through the bullet points. It's a socio-economical factors and incident of fire report, and it clearly states in here, get to my page, careless smoking and alcohol and drug abuse are problems in these communities. Low income, low levels of education, housing tenure, and fire risk, social pathology and fire risk. It says in a study by Gunther in 1982, he found that fire rate deaths were much higher in the South than in the North, and that on the contrary to what one might imagine, the rate of the fire deaths attributed to heating fires was higher in the South. Another report by Fay and Norton in 1889 identified 2 additional factors that distinguish the fire risk of poor rural households from their urban counterparts. First, the communities in which the rural poor live are less likely to be able to afford the level of fire protection services widely available in the urban area. Second, there's a greater likelihood that the poor rural households live in remote locations far from available fire suppression equipment and that their houses are difficult to find. Just some points I wanted to make, as well as I do want to say that the place that has been picked is out of the city limits, and the Georgetown County Sheriff's Department does an awesome job of patrolling the areas that they patrol, and they do a great job, and hats off to them. But with that being said, the city, it needs to be within the city limits. There's a lot of points made about, you know, people need to be able to walk where they need to go. They need to be able to get to the grocery stores. They need to be able to get to the pharmacies and stuff like that. This is too far away. So I will gladly leave these reports with y'all. Thank you very much for your time.
Tom Dunn.
Good evening. My name is Tom Dunn. I live in Pawleys Island, and I came tonight to speak against any extension or proposed extension to the mask ordinance. Since that's not on the agenda, I'd just like to say thank you to the council and yield my time.
Bradley Tiller.
Tiller. I live in Windsor, 348 Roberts Road, just down the road from where this planned development is. The Planning Commission staff had argued that this amendment was consistent with the comprehensive plan, which identifies this as transitional. The staff also notes that making a portion of the property developable as residential brings the PD into conformity with the new zoning ordinance by incorporating a mix of uses. While that might be true, the hospital is no longer planning to relocate, and allowing for residential development on the 16 acres of the larger parcel in all likelihood allows that portion and the remainder of the property to be developed for only a single purpose. So right now, there's a plan of somewhere around 150 units on 16 acres, if I'm not mistaken. So the remainder of the property, which is under consideration here, could allow for many more units. And in short, the proposal does not meet the transitional future land use laid out in the comprehensive plan, nor does it create a multi-use site. This body should be leery of amending the PD and hope that this 16-acre parcel will create affordable housing. $975 a month, that's what the developers indicated to us the rent would be. Not necessarily affordable. We, all of us down the road from the proposed development are against it, and we would appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Robert McMahon.
I'd like to speak on the ordinance to amend the Georgetown Memorial Hospital WEHA campus plan development. My name's Bob McMahon. I live and vote in District 7 of Georgetown County. I am not opposed to affordable housing for Georgetown County. I'm simply opposed to this location. According to the impact of affordable housing on communities and households, research has found that high concentrations of affordable housing can have a negative impact on crime rates, while smaller scale dispersed projects do not. Smaller projects, typically less than 53 units, have no impact, but large projects may result in increased crime. This finding was common across multiple types of affordable housing, including nonprofit rental housing, public housing, and supportive housing. Affordable housing could positively impact surrounding property values, such as the replacement or rehabilitation of vacant lots or dilapidated buildings, which is not the case at this site at the entrance of Wedgefield Road. This should be the main consideration for selecting a site for this project to better serve Georgetown. Evidence suggests that smaller, dispersed projects are more likely to generate positive value impacts to the greater area. Thank you.
Morris Johnson.
Good evening. I'm Morris Johnson, I live in the North Santee area. I'm here tonight because of the fact that I saw where proposed was for extending sewer in the North Santee area. That project is a very small part of North Santee, and it is my belief that we should not spend that kind of money without doing the rest of North Santee. We've been cut off all of our lives. Peace, 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 peace is not very good. And if we're going to do any sewer, we should do the entire section of the North Santee area. And that's my reason for being here tonight. I requested a map, and I have not received the map. They said that there's no existing map. I don't see how you can propose a project without first having a plan for it. And I've not seen that plan, and unfortunately, they said they don't have a plan for it. I've called their water and sewer district, and they said they don't have a plan for it either. So hoping that council would not approve anything without the community involvement in it, and hopefully that we don't spend that kind of money in the project without having the community input. Thank you.
Trannis Parker.
Good afternoon. Council know why I'm here. Just want that $300,000, that $300,000 that y'all got lingering around. You just come on and give it to the Spring Gully community so we could have better living conditions, so we can stop flooding. I wish our problem was not as simple, but as like theirs, where you have people trying to build in our community. I wish that was our problem. Our problem is we're trying to get the water out of our community. So council, in consideration, if we get this grant, even if we don't get this grant, we still need more money because we're only working on one side of McDonald Road. We still got all the Spring Gully that's going to be flooded. That's going to be out of Georgetown County sooner or later if we don't get this drainage system fixed. I appreciate you, and I thank you.
Wesley Gibson.
Good evening. My name is Wesley Gibson, spokesperson for Citizens for Progress. The need for affordable housing is crucial to keep younger people working and living in Georgetown County. The Boeing study states 2/3 of the renters in Georgetown County earn $40,000 and 22% earn $20,000. This complex at Wedgefield, if approved, would be beneficial to the residents of Georgetown and Georgetown County. Affordable housing is overdue. 12,000 people commute to Georgetown County daily to work. This complex will allow those earning between $15,000 and $40,000 to work in Georgetown and have a decent place to live. I've heard at the Planning Commission, residents of Wedgefield say they don't want subsidized housing or another housing project. One resident writes, "It only breeds more lazy welfare lifers." Comments like these only creates controversy and dissension throughout the black community. I just want to share some history tonight about the black community of Georgetown. Judge Alex Smalls is the first African-American Chief Justice of the Common Pleas Court for the state of Delaware. Cornell Brooks, nationally known lawyer, activist, past president of the National NAACP, and CNN political contributor, and currently a professor at Harvard. Dr. Ronald Smalls, first African-American dentist in Williamsburg, Virginia, where were all born and raised right here. Most of them probably went to school and sitting in the seat you're sitting in. They all come from Georgetown. They're not welfare lifers. They're not criminals. These are people that are of a national acclaim in the United States, and we deserve better than that. Statements like that, I'm not going to stand for. We're not going to stand for. The complex proposed at Wedgefield is not subsidized housing. I call it workforce housing that will benefit all races. I read on social media and in the news that residents are afraid that if you approve this complex, crime, shooting, drugs will follow. I'm here to tell you right now, racism, lack of meaningful jobs, and homelessness definitely will bring crime. The Boeing study, which the county council hired to do a housing assessment, needs assessment, clearly states in its recommendation, new residential housing product is needed, and the lack of affordable housing appears to be limiting the growth in Georgetown County and hurting employees. Thank you.
Marvin Neal.
Good evening. I'd like to say there was a tone set that says these people. Well, I'm one of these people. I worked at Santee Cooper for 21 years. I retired from the military with 21 years. I am not one of those people. We all the same people. These people spoke tonight from Martha's house. They need a chance to. The tone was set. Everyone will be in a situation at some day and sometime in their lifetime. The pandemic has proven that. I've sat in food giveaway lines, and I saw Cadillacs, I saw Mercedes, I saw Volvos, I saw Hummers. Everything came through that line. So these people are those same people that we're talking about. Wedgefield is no exception to humanity. Neither is those that live in the housing authority, neither is those that sits between $15,000 to $40,000 a year income. It's a shame that we're sitting here talking about people as though they are less humane as anyone else that spoke tonight. It's shameful. We need to get some God about ourselves and talk about everyone as equal. I fought 21 years in the military to support all people in the United States of America. These people, those people, them, whoever you want to call them. America was built on Christianity. We need to stay there. Some needs first chance to live in a home. Some needs second chance to live in a home. I walked through the housing authority, knocked on 400, talked to 400 and some people within the last 3 days. And I haven't spoke to anyone that was a lowlife, that was an inbred, that was a criminal. Some of them were working 2 jobs. That's affordable right now to those projects that's coming into Georgetown. So I'm not talking against those people that live in Wedgefield that feel that these people don't deserve a chance to live there, but those housing and those people that we are talking about in the $15,000 to $40,000 income deserve an opportunity to live somewhere in Georgetown. And the last time I checked, the people that I spoke with this weekend and this week, everyone was born and raised in Georgetown. They weren't come here, they were been here. That's who I spoke with. Listening to the Planning Commission last week, I don't think but one person got up and talked that was actually from Georgetown. So we have to be careful how we talk about people that's sitting on the backs of those who lived here and worked here on those plantations all their lives where they're living right now. So follow the Planning Commission rules that voted 7-0 and approved the housing, 12B. Thank you for your time.
Not sure if I'm pronouncing this name correctly. It looks like Mickey Nadeau.
Speak. My husband and I live in Wedgefield and in Georgetown County, and my husband has been a builder and a real estate investor for over 39 years. And we believe truly in the future of Georgetown. We think it's very bright. But we think that this specific location is wrong because there's a better tract of land in the Maryville area. That tract of land is on Fraser Street, and also it's, at Fraser Street in Maryville area. It has 28.4 acres of land for $890,000. The 16 acres that they're looking at this development is $800,000. That's $50,000 an acre versus the $31,000 an acre in Maryville. There's a potential of 170 units in Maryville and only 90 units proposed in the Wedgefield area. There's a better topographic raised lot versus a lot that is understood to have drainage issues. That's located within a half a mile of Food Lion. There's a fire department right across the street. There's a daycare across the street. Where this other place, as you've heard many times, is about 2 miles away from Walmart. On Fraser Street, there's mixed zoning in that area, where this would be constituted as what's referred to as spot zoning. It would only be this one spot has been that zone. And then not to mention the traffic that's in that area. It just seems very suspicious that the developer is willing to pay an inflated price for the cost of the land when they're paying $50,000 an acre. And the other 49 acres is already now up for sale and is already being listed as future development for medical, office, and residential. The hospital asked for this amendment so that they could come into conformity so that they would meet the state precedent. Well, the land is for sale, so I don't see how that's actually happening, so that's not true. Another issue that needs to be addressed is how did the hospital get this land out of a conservation easement back in 2008? I understand that it usually takes an act of God to get these properties that are put into a land trust for perpetuity. So the owner, Larry Young, back in 2008, thought this property was going for a nonprofit hospital when he released the land. IRS would gladly take a donation right off the taxes for the hospital if they wanted to put it back into its original trust. We're not opposed to affordable housing. We're just simply concerned that the residents of Georgetown will be paying for a bad investment decisions of the hospital. We're hoping that you'll support the working families of Georgetown and not the for-profit hospital. Please vote against this amendment. Thank you.
Marion Catino.
Good evening, all. I came here to say I oppose 12B, but in listening to everything, I'm a little confused here about these and those people. I come from up north and I moved down south. No, I'm one of the ones that we call the inbred, and that is an insult, okay? Whether we were born here, whether we were raised here, we're here. And this is where we belong, and this is where we're going to stay. My understanding in both sides is that we're not against affordable housing or workforce housing. Workforce housing and affordable housing are two different things, and so is public housing. So those are three different things. What I am opposed to is the management style of Blue Line and 4-6. See, they currently have property in other states, and their management style, okay, after 2 years, they create slums. Now, what I've been hearing is the betterment of Georgetown. So let's talk about the betterment of Georgetown. When you have managements who do housing, okay, and they do not respond to the communication of the tenants. No property inspection is done. They're unresponsive to their tenants regarding repairs. So there's no lack, there's nothing going on. You have chosen the wrong management style, because that's not the betterment of the community. Repairs are not done in timely manners. So, oh wow, they're enriching themselves regarding using taxpayers' funded subsidies. There's a difference between state subsidy and federal. So they're not using state subsidy, they're using federal. Therefore, they don't have to answer to the state guidelines to do this housing. Now, in anybody's world of economics, this is what I considered a double victim crime, okay? Because they are creating slums, yet they're getting the tax credit. So the crime is against to the tenants that will reside there and to the taxpayers that will fund this. And after they create this slum, because they do not take care of the property that they manage and the poor quality of service that they are giving out, the burden now falls back to the community of Georgetown. Now tell me about the betterment of this, okay? So I sat here and I hear where this is now coming to a race issue, a color issue, of them and those. Well, I don't recall the last time I was here hearing those words, those folks, these folks. But what opened my eye tonight was when I heard that gentleman over there said he read something online about racial remarks, and I asked that you share that with me later, because that's not acceptable regardless of where we live. That is not the betterment of this community. So I am opposed to the management style of what you're going to allow to manage these affordable homes, okay? That is the problem here. Thank you.
Tom Olenichek.
Good evening. I'm Tom Olenichek. I'm currently a Georgetown County resident, trying to make a move to the Wedgefield area. My comments are in regards to the development. In review of the literature on the topic of the impact of housing projects on surrounding property values, Aronson, one of the contributors to this study, found that affordable housing is most likely to generate positive results when located in low-poverty neighborhoods in low concentrations. typically less than 53 units. Regardless of neighborhood context, affordable housing projects generate the most property value benefits when replacing blighted conditions such as vacant lots or abandoned buildings. Again, not considered when choosing this current site. That's all I have to say on the issue, but I would like to second Tom Dunn's comments on the mask ordinance. Please let that expire.
Mr. Chairman, that is our final speaker for tonight.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you all for all of your comments this evening. We'll move down to the approval of minutes from our meeting on April 13, 2021. Is there a motion to approve those particular minutes?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? There are three procurement matters included on the consent agenda. And by virtue of the agenda being approved, those matters have been approved. It's contract number 17-06, procurement number 20-106, and land records program for the register of deeds. We'll move down to our resolutions and proclamations. Yeah, resolution number 2110, support of matching grant funds for community development block grant, Lincolnshire drainage system. Madam Administrator.
Good evening. Tonight, we're asking Council's consideration to approve the resolution for us to apply for a CDB grant for the Lincolnshire area up to $750,000. As a part of the application packet, they are asking us to approve the matching amount of approximately $75,000 for that grant. This is certainly the first installment of projects in this area that we are leveraging the dollars that we have available to begin to make the drainage improvements in the area. I'll be glad to answer any questions that we have. We certainly recognize that it doesn't take care of all of the drainage issues, but this is certainly the start and the first installment of improving the drainage in the area.
Are there any questions from any council member?
Do we have you said the 75,000, that is our contribution to this project?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a figure for the entire project, or could you clarify how that would be handled as we move forward?
We have applied certainly for a grant, for the total grant amount. As a part of that, we will see what the CDBG folks approve as a part of the total project. If they make adjustments, depending on the amount, we'll have to probably break it into different phases. But this is, we recognize phase one.
Do we have an estimate of the possible total cost of the project? An estimate?
Not for the total cost, just for phase one.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from any other council member? Hearing none, we all have had the opportunity to review resolution number 21-10. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 21-10?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt resolution number 21-10, support of matching grant funds for community development block grant in the Lincolnshire drainage system.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. We move down to resolution number 21-11. A resolution in support of Senate Bill 40 requiring parking on state highway facilities located on barrier islands to be free and only restricted with SCDOT approval. Madam Administrator again.
We have been asked to join with other local governments along the coast for your consideration tonight for this resolution. Certainly, if you have read the newspaper for our sister communities, you have seen quite a bit of debate on this issue, and we are supporting, certainly with this resolution, that public access points are free and open to all residents of South Carolina.
Madam Administrator, this is only state DOT maintained roads, correct?
That is correct.
Any other questions for Madam Administrator? Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt resolution number 21-11?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we adopt resolution number 21-11.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. Resolution number 21-12, to name a portion of highway in honor of former Georgetown County Sheriff Alien Cribb. We'll have the pleasure of having Councilmember Bob Ensign.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to fill everybody in, and this is former Sheriff Lane Cribb that I'm speaking about. I got a call. Can everybody hear me okay? I got a call about 2 months ago from our state senator, Stephen Goldfinch, and he called me and said, Bob, he said, I think it's time we did something for Lane Cribb. And I said, I totally agree with you, and I wish I would have had that idea. So I said, what have you got in mind? And he said, well, he said, what I think we should do is pick out a state road somewhere in the county, and if you can help me get a resolution through the county government, I'm going to take it to the legislature and see if we can't memorialize him by having some stretch of road in Georgetown County named after Lane. And I said, I'll go to work on that immediately. So tonight, we're going to take up that resolution. But I just wanted to say on a personal note, I knew Lane for probably 15 years. And for you that knew him, he was a different kind of sheriff. He did everything with a smile. I worked with him a lot my first 4 years on council. We were having big problems with losing all of our younger sheriff's deputies, our firemen and EMS people, and we worked hard to come up with a plan to try to hold those people, and worked on it for 6 months, I guess, and got that done. And in the meantime, I became personally to know him, and I'll have to say he and I shared more than one adult beverage together. That was Lane. And I want to leave you with a personal story from myself. Looking at the audience out there, I think you'll be able to relate to this. You know, all of us have flashbacks from a picture or a sound or something we hear. And the first time I stood with Mr. Cribb, Sheriff Cribb, and started talking to him, I had one of those flashbacks. And it took me back to a Paul Newman movie. Does anybody remember Cool Hand Luke. Anyway, it took me back to a scene. There was a warden of the little work farm that Cool Hand Luke was in, and that warden was standing up on a front porch, and he was lecturing that group of inmates and the sheriffs or the deputies there, whatever. And Lane would do this, and that fellow said, "What we have here is a failure to communicate." And that was Lane Cribb, and I'll leave you with that. Thank you, and I'll turn it back to our fearless leader here, and he can go through the resolution.
Thank you, Councilman Anderson, for giving me the esteemed pleasure of reading the ordinance into the record. State of South Carolina, County of Georgetown, resolution number 21-12. Whereas Alien Cribb was born in the beautiful low country of South Carolina and proudly called Georgetown County, South Carolina, his home, and whereas Alien Cribb launched his career in law enforcement with the Alcohol Beverage Commission in 1973, and following work as a criminal investigator with the Florence County Sheriff's Department, returned home to Georgetown County to continue his law enforcement career with the Georgetown County Sheriff's Department. And whereas Alien Cribb was elected by voters of Georgetown County to the office of sheriff in 1992, Sheriff Cribb served with integrity and compassion, gaining the trust and confidence of Georgetown County citizens such that he was subsequently reelected and maintained the office of Georgetown County Sheriff continually until his death while serving his 7th term. And whereas under Sheriff Lane Cribb's leadership, Georgetown County's crime clearance rates exceeded both state and national levels, established more than 30 neighborhood watch programs, established the Sheriff's Reentry Program to assist incarcerated individuals in transitioning to a successful life outside of incarceration, as well as the Sheriff's Family Justice Center, G-Men's group to raise money and community awareness of domestic violence. And whereas held in highest esteem by his peers in 2016, Sheriff Lane Cribb was elected by an awards committee composed of representatives from the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Strom Thurmond Foundation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and other peers as a recipient of the Strom Thurmond Award for Law Enforcement Excellence. And whereas residents of Georgetown County take pride in Sheriff Lane Cribb's personal accomplishments and successful lifelong achievements as a law enforcement officer, which have been brought distinction to Georgetown County and the South Carolina coast. Therefore, be it resolved that Georgetown County Council duly assembled this 27th day of April 2021 in unanimous consent and support does humbly request the General Assembly's consideration of designating a Lane Cribb Highway in his honor, such being defined as Pleasant Hill Drive, spanning approximately 15 miles, beginning at the intersection of Pleasant Hill Drive and County Line Road on the western side of Georgetown County, heading in an easterly direction to the intersection with North Fraser Street at the community of Johanna on the eastern side of Georgetown County. And furthermore, Georgetown County Council supports any and all efforts of the legislative delegation to accomplish this endeavor. So shall it be this 27th day of April 2021. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 2112?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adoption of resolution number 21-12, please raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, motion passed. We'll move down to third reading of ordinances. Ordinance number 21-12, Mr. Tucker.
Good evening, Chairman, members of council. We have third reading for you tonight on 10A, 10B, 10C, and 10D, all of those related to Project Lambert that we discussed at some length in last council meeting. There haven't really been any material changes. We did have one change to some of the legal specifics within the agreements themselves to provide us better protection in the event of us having to litigate or address any errors. I think our attorney would be happy to speak to those particulars if you have any questions, but outside of that, there have been no changes. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Let me make sure here. Are there any questions for Mr. Tucker?
As for the fee in lieu of taxes, any idea on what those abbreviated, well, not abbreviated, but the exchange is going to be based on the overall size of the project? Could you explain that further?
Sure. So generally, fee in lieu is a little bit of a misnomer because the fee that is agreed upon is based on the millage rate and is then distributed out amongst all of the funds within county government in a proportional manner. So in this case, and this microphone is loud tonight, in this case, we will be reducing the fee in lieu, or reducing the assessment on the investment from 10% to 6%, which is the basic mechanism that we use in the fee. In the case of this project, we'll also be attaching a special source revenue credit because of the level of investment to get their annual payments down to about $300,000 a year for the next 40 years for the project. And those funds will go into the general fund for normal operations after year 3. So does that address your question?
Yes, thank you.
Is there a motion for adoption of ordinance number 21-12?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we adopt ordinance number 21-12.
The second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion passed. Ordinance number 21-13, Mr. Tucker.
Same thing, sir. All of these are still related to Project Lambert, so again, no changes except for the legal changes that our attorney requested. So again, happy to answer any specific questions, but all of these are related to Project Lambert.
Is there a motion for adoption of ordinance number 21-13?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2113.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? Okay. Ordinance number 21, motion passed. Ordinance number 2114, Mr. Tucker, same thing? Project Lambert?
And in all 4 of those third readings, so that the language is the same in both fee agreements and both multi-county park agreements.
Is there a motion for adoption of ordinance number 21-14?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for the adoption of ordinance 2114 on the Lambert project.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor of adoption of ordinance number 21-14, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion passed. And we'll go down to ordinance number 21-15. Same thing?
Yes, sir, same thing. I will say on this note, please don't hold it against myself or the county attorney for making this more complicated than it needs to be. We'll blame that on the company's attorney.
Okay. Is there a motion for adoption of ordinance number 21-15? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adoption of ordinance number 21-15, please raise your hand. Opposed? Motion is carried. We did not have any second reading of ordinances. We have first reading of ordinances, which would be read in the record by title only. is ordinance number 21-17, an ordinance to amend Article 4, general provisions of the zoning ordinance to add section 426, dealing with lighting requirements for residential developments along waterways. Ordinance number 21-18, an ordinance to amend the Georgetown Memorial Hospital Weehawken Campus Plan Development, TMS number 02-1009-018-02-03, to allow for multifamily as a permitted use. Ordinance number 21-19, amendment of the fiscal year 2020-21 budget ordinance. Council will need to move into executive session to receive legal advice and discussion concerning employment matters covered by the attorney-client privilege pursuant to SC Code Section 30-4-70A1.
Mr. Chairman, reports to council.
Oh, reports to council. I'm sorry, let's skip 15B. I was looking at the nonprofit window. My apology. 15B, Litchfield Villas LLC request to install security gates at community entrances. Ms. Richardson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and good evening. This is a request from Mr. Middleton to allow for 2 security gates to be installed at the Litchfield Villas condominium located at 1 Sundial Drive in Litchfield. We don't see these requests very often, but there is a requirement in our land development regulations that states that gated communities are only allowed upon the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approval of County Council. So that's why this issue is here before you. Litchfield Villas are an existing condo development that was built in the mid-60s. It's located at the very end of Sundial Drive, just off Litchfield Drive. The proposal here is to add 1 security gate at the entrance, serving the first set of buildings G through M, and a second gate on the private portion of Sundial Drive, just before the entrance that serves buildings A through F. The applicant has closed that section of the road. The court order is included in your packet, and the property owners that access that portion of the road have also signed off on the court order. Midway Fire needs to approve any installations of gates for development. They've already been in contact with the applicant, and the Planning Commission discussed this at their April 15th meeting and unanimously recommended approval for the gate, conditional on that coordination with Midway. This is not an ordinance, but I think we are looking, just requires a vote of approval from you.
Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson? Council. You have a motion regarding Litchfield Villas LLC request to install security gates. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed? Okay, motion passed. Passes. Okay. Now, we need to go over this again. We need to move into executive session for receipt of legal advice and discussion concerning employment matters covered by the attorney-client privilege pursuant to ST Code Section 30-4-70A1. Is there a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Chairman, I move.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. We now enter into executive session. Okay, everybody's back. We have a motion to exit executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay, we're now back in, no. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, we're now back in regular session. Any further business to come before council? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? We now adjourn. We entered executive session to receive legal advice and had discussion concerning employment matters during that session, as previously disclosed. No votes were taken, nor were any decisions made while council was in executive session. My apology for not putting that on the record. Just wanted to put it on the record. Thank you.